Welcome back to the Daily Dope Show. I'm your host, Brando the Weed Commando, one of those activists that was always pushing for legalizing marijuana my whole life. Finally happened in my state. And I was out there on the front lines many, many times to try to help make it happen. And if nothing else, I'm sitting here in my chair trying to make it happen from here. So, what did happen? Well, they we pretty much put together one of the most liberal uh, legalization platforms that the country has currently, as far as growing your own and keeping some of your harvest or all of it. There's a lot of things about it that are not that good, and I'm going to do a video later down the line exactly what in it is really bad and how bad can it be. Right now I'm saying it's time to celebrate because it's not that bad. It's not the most awful, horrible corporate takeover, situation waiting to happen. Although I can't say that it's not gonna happen. It's not written in the fucking, written right into it. But there's a lot of people asking me, what's going on, as if they never paid attention to this until yesterday when they turned on. They was walking by the TV, somebody else was watching, and they heard that marijuana got legalized in Michigan. And so of course they come to me because I'm just like the people. Everybody knows me, thinks of me as the person that knows the most about weed, I guess. So I just go ahead and defer them to this article here that I just found, and I'll go ahead and let you guys, check it out with me. And this is Kathleen Gray at the Free Press. She's the Free Press's basically weed writer who likes the word pot. So let's go ahead and see this. Marijuana will be legal in Michigan on December 6th. What to know? And by the way, happy birthday, Uncle B. My birthday is December 8th, so maybe I'll get a P.O. box for my birthday so people can send me something. Am I still recording? Yeah, alright. So anyway, what is going on December 6th when marijuana is legal in Michigan? And that's one of the main questions. They're like, well, where can I buy weed? Bad news. You can't. It's not written in the thing. Weed will not be sold recreationally, if that's the word you want to use, or for normal adults that don't want to go to a dispensary and put their name in a database and say that they're a medical marijuana patient or whatever, however you want to put it. You can go into a store after they're allowed to open, or after the ones that are already there are allowed to start selling marijuana to anybody, because that's basically what's going to happen. Some of the people that will be able to have dispensaries, it will be because they had a dispensary already. And I've talked about that in many videos. I'm not going to go back over the details of all the things in the new law as to who can open dispensaries or who can get licenses in general. So here's the basics. The official certification of the 2018 election results Monday began a 10-day clock for legal weed in Michigan. So this is next Thursday is the 6th. So even though the law doesn't take effect until December 6th, prosecutors in Michigan, including, yes, that is a week from tomorrow, so next Thursday. So prosecutors, including in Macomb and Oakland counties, and whoa. So Macomb and Oakland counties, in case you're not familiar with Michigan because you're not from here or whatever, that is where the drug war is going down at right there. That's the two counties where you have the most people getting arrested for drugs. That's where they have the most people in jail for drugs. They have the most people in rehab. They have the most people in whatever probation. And the criminal justice system is so weighed down with drug offenders, it's not even funny. But even they are beginning to quietly dismiss low-level marijuana criminal charges that will no longer be a crime after marijuana becomes legal in the state. Well, that's because they know they don't have a case anymore. Even it's not retroactive. This law is not retroactive. So if you have a weed charge that says November 5th, or even before the certification is done on December 6th, maybe you could fight that, like, oh, hey, really? The vote was on November 6th. So depending on how good of a lawyer you are, if your charge was before that, you better have a good lawyer because they could still charge you. But when you get to the jury, they're going to be a hard one to convince that you should still go to jail for something that's not even a crime anymore. And the prosecutors know it, and they're not in the business of wasting money. I mean, you would think they're not, but they are. Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith sent a memo to staff last week telling assistant prosecutors to begin the process of dismissing marijuana charges such as use or possession of small amounts of weed. Likewise, Oakland County Chief Assistant Prosecutor Paul Walton said Monday that the same is happening in Oakland. Woo! Oakland County. Oakland County, if you remember me talking about it several times, is where they went the hardest on medical marijuana. They shut down dispensaries. There's pictures in the press back in the day when it happened of, elderly cancer patients on the ground with assault rifles and shotguns in their face, and SWAT team vans, literally taking marijuana plants, edibles, buds, out of a store. Like, what? You'd think that this kind of a raid would happen at a compound of a terrorist cell or something, but nope. It was just a marijuana dispensary with a bunch of sick old people hanging out inside buying medicine. There aren't many low-level cases that are handled by county prosecutors, Walton said, indicating he'd only seen 3 requests to dismiss so far. Most are handled by city attorneys who enforce municipal ordinance violations. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with that statement there. That's just simply not the case, man. County police, county prosecutor, when you get in trouble and you're at the county jail, certain cities might have to come and deal with it, but a lot of times, I mean, it's still there. It's still the same judges, and everybody else in the courtroom is all still the same, right? Am I missing something here? Like, when I go to the Genesee County courthouse and look at their docket, it's completely full of low-level marijuana offenses. Are they saying that they're still going to try to prosecute those? And I'm talking about people with possession of a pound of weed or whatever is still that used to be a felony yesterday, now it ain't. And we'll get into what is and isn't a felony in another video on another day. But I can't even believe we're even talking about this. What did I say earlier? My whole life I've been dreaming about legalizing marijuana and fighting for it and doing whatever I can in the cause when something came up. If nothing else, sitting here bitching about whatever's happening. And here I am again. Like, oh my God, you guys are still interested in prosecuting cases? What's big hold up here on just saying enough is enough? Short of some kind of major tax evasion case, I don't see how you could give somebody a marijuana ticket. It just doesn't even fucking make sense. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy, as well as Michigan State Police, are still weighing options for marijuana enforcement as the legalization date draws near. How about no? Just go away. We don't need you. Now that Proposal 1 has passed, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office is committed to following the law regarding the prosecution of marijuana cases, Worthy said in a statement. Quote, overwhelming, the smaller marijuana cases are prosecuted by city attorneys. However, we currently have ticketed ordinance violations from the Michigan State Police that are now pending review. Although the law is not retroactive, in the coming weeks we will assess the tickets that have already been charged as well as those pending review, taking the new law into consideration, she added. The State Board of Canvassers unanimously certified the November 6th election results Monday afternoon, ending a 4-year effort for marijuana legalization. Proponents tried in 2016, but were thwarted by technical problems in getting the necessary signatures in time. They were thwarted by the state pushing the 6-month rule, which wasn't a thing when we started the campaign. So that's kind of a, we need to have more on that. We need to keep mentioning that. So I'm just gonna say again, Kathleen Gray, there's some history to this that people are really kind of still a little bit pissed off about. All right, that thwarting, that was bullshit. I was an activist that was on the ground working for that campaign in 2016. Heavily. Way more than I normally would go out and canvass. Ever. Historically speaking. But anyway, this time the issue succeeded both in getting enough signatures to get legal weed on the ballot and winning in November 6th by a convincing 56 to 44% margin. Quote, it's a huge relief. It was a 2-year process for this campaign, but there are people who have been working on this issue their entire adult lives, said Josh Hoovey, spokesman for the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, who spearheaded the marijuana campaign. Jeffrey Hank, the director of Michigan Legalize, which helped lead the effort in both 2016 and 2018, said he hopes the vote in Michigan will lead to changes on a federal level, which still considers marijuana an illegal substance. Quote, there's no reason why Michigan's congressional delegation shouldn't be vociferously persuading federal reform, he said. Quote, there's enough momentum now, and I think Michigan may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. That and the whole East Coast is going to fall like dominoes now. And by the way, I'll tell you why the Michigan delegation isn't vociferously pursuing federal reform, because they don't care. They don't give a shit. I wrote all my representatives that go to Washington, and none of them give a shit about this issue. Maybe they'll start caring now that it's legal. I doubt it. Maybe they got somebody that needs their help personally that's opening up a weed business or something. That's about all you can hope for. Most of them are corporate Democrats, and I think the one Republican guy is actually the dude that's the most liberal about this issue. So those Democrats, they're worthless. Every time I try to write them and talk to them about it, they don't give a shit. They're like, oh, we'll see which way the wind blows at the time when the time comes. That's about the best answer I've ever gotten from Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters and anybody else. For a gubernatorial year, the Michigan ballot proposal helped contribute to Michigan's record-setting voter turnout on November 6th when more than 4.3 million voters, or 58% of the state's eligible voters, cast ballots. And, I got to tell you, that kind of just, it makes me sad that that's a record-setting high, 58% of the eligible voters. And it's not because I'm a big, advocate for, you have to vote, blah, 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 whatever. I think George Carlin got that one right. Like, if you vote, then you have to be tied to that shit. If you vote for something and it goes to shit, then you can't bitch about it. You have to root for it. And it's just not good, whatever. Vote if you want. Vote if you don't want. Don't vote if you do want. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, but it's not a reflection of the electorate. It's a reflection of the people that are running. You know how I know that? Because nobody ever goes to vote in Michigan unless it's a presidential election. And even then, it's like, maybe I'll go vote. Nobody cares. You know how you can make them care? With issues like marijuana legalization. You know who can do that? The fucking politicians that don't have anything else to run on. They can't, their mouths are sealed shut by donors, so they can't tell the people anything the people want to hear from either party. The only thing they can run on is pointing their finger at the other party and telling you how shitty they are. What the fuck is that? So that's why people don't vote, in case you were wondering. And if you don't believe it, go ask anybody that don't vote why, and they're like, I don't know. It's bullshit. None of it is ever real. The politicians don't keep their promises, and furthermore, there's never anything good to vote for. So enough of that. For a gubernatorial year, we smashed the record turnout, said Sally Williams, director of elections for the Secretary of State. It looked more like a presidential year. See? All you gotta do is put something like that on the ballot. And it turns out there was more than just that. There was some gerrymandering thing, access to voting, and other things that we voted on. And it's like, I know marijuana pulled a lot of people in. That's why it won. Duh. One downside of the high turnout is it translates into a higher petition signature requirement to get issues on the ballot. Ooh. Because the signature levels are tied to the gubernatorial vote, the numbers needed for a constitutional amendment will grow from 315,654 to 425,059, while a legislative initiative like marijuana ballot proposal will increase from 252,523 to 340,000. So what that tells you is that the government is designed to make it so the people have less power. You know, oh, this is a popular election for a governor. So next time around, you're going to have more signatures for your ballot. I mean, that's ridiculous. And back to the original topic at hand. What are the things you need to know about legal marijuana in Michigan? Where will you be able to get it? It won't be commercially available for sale until the State Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs comes up with the rules and regulations that will govern the adult recreational use market and begin licensed business. That won't happen until the end of 2019. And that is written right into it. In fact, it says 1 year from when they certify the election. So, December 6th, 2019. Laura has spent several weeks meeting with a variety of stakeholder groups regarding this implementation of adult use marijuana law, says Laura's spokesperson, David Harns. Quote, all indications point to our ability to have adult use license applications available before the statutory deadline of December 6, 2019. In the meantime, Michigan residents over the age of 21 can grow up to 12 plants for personal use in their homes, and growers can give, but not sell, marijuana to friends, family, as long as they are also 21. And as you know, in many places that have had this rule before, you know, hey, I got this $20 lighter, and whatever the case is, there's already a huge marijuana market in Michigan. Whatever you want to call the market and whatever you want to call the customer base of that market is up to you. But that is already going on. It's not missing a beat. It never has. I haven't seen that market miss a beat my whole life. There's never been a shortage of marijuana anywhere in the state of in the state of Michigan. I'm glad I don't live in Maryland. I'll be saying that a lot. But yeah, I don't think anybody's going to have any problems with that question. Where to indulge? Not in public. Smoking in public is a civil infraction that carries a $100 fine. Michigan businesses continue to be smoke-free environments from both cigarette and marijuana smoke, but people can smoke in the privacy of their homes. Ridiculous. Landlords can legally still enforce no smoking and no growing rules to their tenants. Smoke-free options such as marijuana-infused vapes and edibles will be commercially available once the recreational market is set up. What about drug driving? A little bit of a red flag here. Michigan always has had this zero tolerance thing, so it is illegal. Michigan has a zero tolerance policy for drug driving. It's called impaired driving while impaired. So any amount of THC, the psychoactive component in marijuana, in a driver's blood is illegal and can be criminally charged, just like a drunk driving offense. And they rack them up like drunk drivings, and multiple offenses can lead to felonies and shit. So this is a bad thing. It's got to go, because what happens is cops will, like what we've seen in other states, go ahead and just write tickets to people that smell like weed. Oh, here's your driving while impaired ticket, even though you wasn't even swerving or you were driving perfectly. I don't even know why you got the ticket or why you got pulled over. Oh, your tail light was out. Oh, now you get a stone driving ticket. It's a big deal because there's no, as I always say, there's no new increase in pot users or whatever you want to call it. Sure, there's going to be some first time users out there and whatever. And that's the only people that people really worry about this stone driving thing with. But I have to argue that I'm not even really worried about that because those people won't try to drive. Are you kidding? The first few times that you smoke weed, there's no way you're going to want to drive. It's just too different. It's too not like something that you're used to, you know. Not to scare anyone because it's not scary, but there is this side effect of paranoia, and especially the first few times that you get high, you're gonna be a little bit more nervous and anxious about anything that you're doing that you have to do. Like if you all of a sudden you have to go into a store to buy something, or just everything is a little bit different when you're high for the first few times. But the zero tolerance thing, that's going to become a problem. We're going to have to do something about that. People like me can blow smoke rings around you and drive at the same time with no problem. In fact, I probably would drive really bad if I wasn't high. What about marijuana in the workplace? Another red flag. Employers can keep and enforce zero tolerance policies for their workers. The law doesn't change a business owner's ability to perform pre-employment and random drug tests on workers and refuse to hire, fire, or discipline workers who test positive for marijuana. That's bullshit. We need to fight that. We need our rights. What is this? You're still saying that people that smoke marijuana don't fully have rights. And it doesn't make any sense. We're no different than anybody else. Like how many people drink alcohol? I live in Michigan. Alcohol is pretty common. Pretty much almost everybody drinks. I don't know about on a regular basis, but it's socially accepted to the point where somebody could come into work drunk and the boss would probably just be like, man, you better go home, or hungover. How many times do people go to work hungover? Every 5th of July, 2nd of January. I mean, it's right after the weekend of St. Patrick's Day. So what about marijuana businesses in cities? It's up to officials in individual cities to determine whether they want to allow and regulate or prohibit marijuana businesses in their towns. Several Michigan cities have already decided to ban pot shops and other weed-related businesses. And with this new law, though, they have to actually ban them because they're automatically already allowed. And that's a funny thing. You have to opt out. I don't think the new law, it don't require the local municipality to set up a licensing and regulatory system for the businesses other than just the standard, what you would normally do as a business, to go see the Chamber of Commerce and all that shit. But yeah, that's just another one of those things that I guess we have to wait 20 years down the road when we can take the speakeasies from the basement and move them up to the ground level and put signs up finally. I mean, what is the deal with people that are so stubborn when it comes to weed? They act like it's some kind of other thing that's just, it's the other thing. I'm getting too old for this shit. Why the stigma? The stigma is just ridiculous. All these people that are against weed still, it's like, just live your own life. Mind your own business. Why do you even care what we do? What does it even matter to you? All the prohibitionists that spend all their time, tweeting about weed and their negative ways and doing commercials and singing about it and shit. What motivates you so much to be against people that smoke weed? Because that's what you are. You're not against weed. You're against people that smoke it. Does the new law include changes to Michigan's medical marijuana laws? No. Caregivers can still grow up to 12 plants for each of their 5 medical marijuana card holders. The caregivers, however, will no longer be able to sell any extra cannabis to licensed marijuana dispensaries. And that's the one thing that the caregivers were asking for with the new medical marijuana laws. And now you're telling us that even though there's some kind of protections a little bit in this new thing for medical marijuana caregivers and patients, as far as just more relaxed shit when it comes to your amounts of stuff you can have, I guess. This is just another slap in the face for the real people, the real activists, the real people that were exercising civil disobedience and then came out of the shadows to get a caregiver card and stick their neck out even farther. Because now, not only did your name is in a database, but they know that you're one of those people that have been growing weed all along. If you're me, when I first got my caregiver card back in like 8 years ago, I had already been growing for 25, I've been growing for a long time. It's like I get my caregiver card and it's like, now I'm in a database and now they look at me and they're like, this guy's been growing. This guy didn't just start growing yesterday. You know how they know? Because I still have a card today. Like if you made it through the 3 waves of caregivers dropping out, that's because you are somebody that knows what you're doing. And most of those people, it's because they already did this shit before that. Like I did. So there's nothing for us. Nothing for us. We were never allowed to make money while we were caregivers. So we don't have any money to get the medical marijuana facility grow operation going or dispensary or any of that shit. Because let's face it, you got to have about $1 million to even, open up a grow operation out of one of those licenses. It's pretty much what it is, I don't have $1 million. No one's going to fucking loan me $1 million. Does anyone out there want to loan me $1 million? I would gladly open one of these businesses. But no one's going to loan me. I don't really want a loan of $1 million. That's a little bit too much of an obligation. You pretty much have to. Does anyone want to give me $1 million? How about that? Some charitable soul out there just happens to have an extra $1 million hanging out. I'll run, strong meds, full force. We'll grow a warehouse. It'll probably be the best corporate grow you ever seen, because I'm guessing a lot of these people that are doing these corporate warehouse grows and shit never even, they don't know what the fuck's going on with growing weed. It's just what I've been seeing out there with, not in Michigan, because I don't go to the dispensary. I really never went to dispensaries too much in Michigan, so I don't sell my overage to dispensaries or extra plants. I used to sell clones to dispensaries. That was one of the big parts of my income, and I hope I can still do that later on when there's dispensaries again or whatever. But other than all that, man, I'm pretty much out of this whole trying to make money off a weed thing. So help me out if you want me to get back into it. Just throw me a big fat suitcase with $1 million in it, and we'll get that shit up and running. So what about marijuana convictions? It'll be up to the state legislature to pass a law that would work. Oh wait, one more thing on the dispensaries. The difference for the card holders will be that the 3% excise tax on medical marijuana sales at dispensaries will go away once the recreational market kicks in. I'm gonna have to look into this further, but I wonder if that also applies to the usage tax that they imposed on patients who don't go to dispensaries but buy their marijuana from their caregiver, which I find to be bullshit. Taxation being theft as it is, that's just outright robbery. Like, when you charge patients taxes on their medicine, I don't know, man. That's pretty cruel and unusual shit. I don't even know what to call that. So, what about marijuana convictions? Finally, it'll be up to the state legislature to pass a law that would work toward expunging the records of people convicted of low level marijuana crimes. A bill has been introduced by Rep. Sheldon Neely from Flint, Democrat, to require a judge to review those requests. Man, I remember hearing the new Attorney General, Dana Nessel. I went to a rally and she was talking about the automatic expungement system that was in San Francisco and how she wanted to see that happen here. So I don't know if Sheldon Neely was at that rally. I'm assuming he was. It was in Flint. So maybe you should get together with Dana and try to get that going, because that would be way easier than having a judge review some requests, man. And what that means is you have people that have these records. Now they have to put in a request for the expungement. Huh? Let's do some automatic expungements, man. I hate how these guys are so like light on. To me, this is more than a campaign promise. This is long overdue reform type shit. And if you're gonna go half-hearted and not just automatic expunge, don't make people go put in paperwork and get a lawyer and pay money for this shit. Are you kidding? Anyway, Governor-elect Gretchen Whitmer, an East Lansing Democrat who will take office on January 1st, also has said that she favors clearing up records of people convicted of crimes that will no longer be offenses under the legalization of marijuana. That's a no-brainer. That's like a real easy statement to say. I think she could have went farther. Obviously, she's not running for anything anymore, so she don't have to kind of hammer it home. But I'm just going to say that statement is like the least path of resistance, I guess. That's like anybody could say that. Oh yeah, I'm in favor of that. Like that's just like that's not I don't even know what to say about that. I'm very disappointed that my governor is not full-throated for something more than just, oh, we'll look into that. And of course I'm for getting rid of, people's records that has the things that we just legalized. It's like, don't you guys even know what this issue's about? And the criminal injustice system that has been formed around it? Oh yeah, you do. Because Michigan's been locking people up just handily. One of the biggest states for locking people up for weed. Even after medical marijuana was passed. In fact, arrests for marijuana actually increased every year almost since legalization of medical marijuana. So don't give me this shit where you're for, oh yeah, I'm for it. I'm totally for, let's see, what's that quote again? Clearing up the records of people convicted of crimes that will no longer be offenses under the new legalization. Yeah, so much more riding on this than just that. How about we don't try to enforce marijuana laws anymore? Can we say that? No, we can't say that because there's corporate takeovers in the works, and we got to keep this black market is out there mentality. We got to keep people thinking that there's a reason to enforce marijuana laws so that the black market stays alive, so that grams are still $10 when the corporate takeover opens up their stores. And that's what, Democrats and Republicans alike look out for that, especially in Lansing. There's nobody that's on the people's side on this issue. And I'm sorry if there's somebody that's a politician in Lansing. Just let me know, tell me in the comment below and I'll look into it. But as far as I know, man, the lip service only comes when needed and usually when running. And it's usually half-hearted then too. Democrats and libertarians or whatever political party they're from, as long as they work in Lansing, they talk they're talking with two things in mind. One, they don't want to lose the vote of people that think that, freedom is a good thing. And two, they don't want to piss off their friends who are working this corporate takeover shit. All right, that's all I got on this. I'm sure we'll talk more about it as it comes into motion, as we start to actually see the like they stifled this thing. Like, it wasn't just like somebody announced one day like, oh, we counted the votes, marijuana's legal, it's all good, and there's like a party planned or something. I haven't heard of any parties, so if anybody's heard of any big parties going on December 6th, let me know. That's a Thursday. I'm sure that weekend is going to be nothing but parties all over Detroit. So that's all I got. Have a good one, and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed.